Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Hope you have a great and wonderful day. And it seems that we have more issues afoot here when it comes down to the whole gender mob going and taking people's children. And as I said before, they're coming to take our children. And they're not really long about that because it seems that they're using the government to do so. And they have been using the government for a little bit now. Now, it seems like almost every other video, I am making a video about somebody actually losing their kids to the IRS, not to the IRS, but the CPS or what have you, and this is their story here. We have this. Catholic parents appeal to Supreme Court after son was removed from Indiana home over refusal to affirm gender identity. A Catholic couple in Indiana is appealing to the Supreme Court after their son was removed from their home over their refusal to use cross-sex pronouns for him. They intend to urge the U.S. Supreme Court to stop states from obliterating parents' rights in the name of gender ideology. We hope that the justices will take our case and protect other parents from having to endure the nightmare we did, the parents said. The child was kept in the foster care system until he aged out. Legislation of the type that was used against these parents is on the books in many states, with proposals in others. Mary and Jeremy Cox were represented in the case by Beckett Law, which stated that on February 15, 2024, Beckett and Hirschberger Law Office filed a reply brief at the Supreme Court on behalf of the parents, asking the justices to strike down the Indiana court rulings and protect the rights of all parents to raise their children consistent with their religious beliefs. And this is where this could actually be a huge benefit to parents if the Supreme Court does weigh their power on this and says that the Indiana court cannot do this. Because that means that the parents' rights will be more powerful, and it would strike a chord with the transgender mob, and it will strike a chord with the transgender courts, and all that stuff from them taking your children away from you unlawfully. And this is the reality that people just don't want to seem to have to take here. The transgender community is a very sick group of people. And the reason why I say this is because we're seeing time and time again where they're trying to force their ideology on other people. They're trying to take our kids, which they've even said that they have been doing this, and it's quite disturbing to say the least. And this is what I fear for my own nephews and my own nieces and even my friends' kids as well, to where they have to face the possibility to where if they do not confirm or their kid's gender, which, by the way, they're just normal people. They're not political. They're not anything of the sort. And the fact that they could have their kids taken from them because, the CPS is insanely corrupt and they're evil, they will have a risk of taking their kids away. Now, transgender people, far-left people, if you think this is not the case, then why is it time and time again where I make stories of this, where this is actually happening? Where we're seeing kids being taken from parents. Sometimes kids being taken from parents and trafficked and horrendously abused for months to possibly even a year, if not more, because the court took their kid away from them and they were not able to get their kid back because they were being trafficked across the country. So please miss me with that BS, because it seems you're doing more harm than good. If you want to say it's all about care and love, then why are you forcefully taking kids away from them? Why are you going behind parents' backs and, trying to take their kids away from them? Because it's quite obvious what your game is. I've always said this, and I said this time and time again. If you have nothing to hide, if it's good for the person, if it actually is a benefit of the said person, then that means that you would be willing to want the public to know. You would want the public to know that everything is good and caring, and you would not go behind people's backs to have their kids taken away. But you still do this. So I'm sorry to inform you, but everything that you say are lies. It cannot be beneficial. And it also cannot be beneficial because if you go to the D-Trans Reddit, you'll see a whole bunch of horrendous stories that happens to them. Botched surgeries, horrible, where they have to pee in the bag for pretty much the rest of their life, and all this other stuff, because you people don't care. You want people to be miserable just as you are. And if you don't have that, then you will go and claim everybody's transphobic, where they have fear of trans people. I don't think you even know what the word phobic means, because phobic is a word of a phobia. It is a way of being scared or irrationally feared of something. I'm irrationally feared of spiders, which is a little bit weird because I think everybody should be irrationally feared of spiders, considering the fact that they can be quite dangerous, some of them. So, but I digress. Nobody is afraid of the well, I guess some of them are. Actually, I always say corrected. Some of them may actually be fearful of transgender people because they are coming after their kids, and you're trying to take it away from them, and having the most devastating thing: lose your child. It's almost as bad, or as bad as a kid dying from a parent. And then if their kid does die due to your negligence, to you kidnapping their children, essentially, then it's 2 times that, if not significantly worse. So miss me with that BS. Indiana began investigating the Cox incident in 2021 and found that the parents did not affirm their son's false belief that he was female and removed the boy from their care, never returning him. Instead, the state placed him in a home with people who call him by the wrong pronouns. The parents were also prevented from taking their son about God or a human sexuality during their visits. The courts allowed the state to remove the child from his parents' home over this disagreement on the nature of biological sex. So, not is the court also not wanting to talk about, the kids, about religion, which is, again, against the First Amendment, because you are allowed to teach your kids whatever you want, or what have you, or religious beliefs, because that's protected by the First Amendment. So not only is the court taking their kids away, they're also breaking the First Amendment because for religious reasons. Oh, that's just bloody great. I love that our judicial system is so great that it will violate and break the First Amendment and take your kids away as well. That's just fantastic. It's absolutely amazing in every regard. Obviously, this is sarcasm if you cannot bloody tell. It was in 2019 that the Cox's son told them that he identified as trans. The Coxes sought mental health help from the false belief that he was a female and underlying eating disorder. Now, this is where the Coxes went wrong. They went to send their child to a therapist. And unfortunately, a lot of the therapists, at least in California, it seems like it is also happening in other states as well, are very far left. They will try to trans the child. So, that being said, it's not really good to go to your therapist. I may believe I did a video about this recently to where a lot of the therapists, they have to be very careful on who they select because they're not really for the benefit of the child, for that matter. They're more for left. They want to try to trans the child and stuff like that. So, it's in my video somewhere. So, I digress. That mental health system. The Coxes say, the child began seeing a therapist. That mental health system, the Coxes say he was heavily biased in favor of gender transition. Hey, there we go. Shortly thereafter, a report arrived with the state of Indiana stating the Coxes were not using the child's preferred pronouns. Indiana took the child away from the Coxes, placed him in a separate home, and have only allowed restricted visitation of only a few hours once per week. They have not allowed the Coxes to pass on their religious beliefs to their son. The boy's eating disorder only worsened once he was removed from his family's care. And here's another thing, too. Kids have a bonding thing, right? And a lot of the ways is that kids will bond to a certain parent or whoever is raising them at the time, right? Because that's just what they do. Taking a child away from their parents causes problems psychologically. So doing that is a very huge problem. This is the reason why there is a group of people. Or not a group of people, but there is a certain law that is if a kid is with a certain group of parents or a people for too long, it is deemed illegal to take them away from them because they have this strong bonding thing to where it was. So if that, say for instance, if it happened to me when I was a baby, obviously because I was with this family for the longest time. Newsflash here, I'm adopted. You it's a problem for removing them from the family because that strong bond was there. So you just don't do that in most regards. But of course, the CPS is very corrupt, as I have went through it and experienced it even as an older high school person. So I get to see the insides in on how corrupt that they are. So be very wary of the CPS system and the foster care system, especially because they're not very nice people. This is what every parent is afraid of. We love our son and wanted to care for him, but the state of Indiana robbed us of that opportunity by taking him from our home and banning us from speaking to him about gender. The courts disagree. In the initial proceeding, officials from Indiana said that the boy should be in a home where she is accepted for who she is. In essence, the court decided that the boy was trans. After the investigation was completed, Indiana dropped the allegation against the Cox, but still kept the child out of the home. Their argument was that the disagreement over gender identity led to the eating disorder, despite the fact that the two were concurrent, that the eating disorder had continued and worsened after he was taken from his parents. Yeah, because obviously there was a bonding thing there and stuff like that. Indiana still kept the child away from his parents after determining that no abuse had taken place, and this was upheld upon appeal. If this can happen in Indiana, it can happen anywhere. Tearing a child away from loving parents because of their religious beliefs, which are shared by millions of Americans, is an outrage to the law, parental rights, and basic human decency, said Lori Wyndham, Vice President and Senior Counsel at Beckett. If the Supreme Court doesn't take this case, how many times will this happen to other families? It will continue to happen to thousands of families, and this is being reported on. So, trans people, your time is up. It seems that you have to start realizing on where you're standing here, because this is just evil among measure. The kid is suffering, and the parents are also suffering. You're not helping anyone. You are damaging people because of your sick ideology, your cult-like following, and you honestly should probably be removed from society only just because of the damage you're doing to other people. I am sick and tired of it. And this is getting annoying now. This is no longer a laughing matter. It wasn't a laughing matter to begin with, but now it's really not. And it's sickening to have you people go out and do this type of BS. Honestly, it truly is. And it's just the reality that you guys have to face. The reality that what you people are doing. And I know you don't care. Because if you actually truly cared, you would try to stop this. Because we don't care whether or not you guys go trans. I don't give a crap. Honestly. Go trans if you want. If you're 18 and you want to chop off your body parts or what have you, by all means, be free to do so. I don't care what you do. For your own life. But don't go out here and try to force people to cater to what you want and force it to other people or force it onto kids. Because that's what you're doing. Go do what you want. Go do whatever you want in your life. But keep other people out of it. And what you're trying to do is keep people in it. Try to enforce other people in your ideology. And if they don't, you say they're transphobic. You say they're racist. You say all these other things. And that's just a reality that we know and we see. Alright guys, that's it for the video. If you like to share, as always, take care.
I'm disgusted by what I see in public. Even people closest to us can't be trusted. This is algorithmic disease, the social media.